Welcome to Lesson 3 in Unit 15, Guardians of the Garden. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, how does frost form? In this lesson, students carry out an investigation that demonstrates water changing phases in various ways. They will observe water evaporating, condensing, melting, and freezing, and learn how these phase changes are caused by temperature fluctuations. Students figure out water changes phase between solid, liquid, and gas when the temperature changes, and these phases can change back and forth. Students make connections to the storyline by understanding that water in the air, soil, and inside plants will change phase depending on the temperature around them. Frost occurs when water vapor in the air condenses and freezes. There are several opportunities for ELA and math cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 15 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 3 days to complete. For the Engage portion, you'll begin by revisiting the driving question board. Add in the new questions and highlight any other ones connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions about how frost forms. You'll ask students some questions to get them thinking about frost, and they'll do a turn-in talk to share and develop ideas and experiences. For the Explore portion, you'll begin by asking students to think about their experiences with ice, water, changing temperatures, and phases of matter. This is a good time to post the solid vocabulary card and the liquid vocabulary card. Share with students that they will investigate how water changes form. Students will carry out the investigation in 6 groups. They will observe water phase changes through 3 rounds: hot water releasing vapor, adding ice to create condensation, and adding salt to make frost. Pause this video to review the list of needed materials and the items you can find in your kit for this activity. Students will record temperature and their observations in the table on the How Frost Forms student journal page. Discuss with students that scientists use tables to make it easier to find patterns in their data. For the Explain portion of the lesson, you'll bring the class together and lead a discussion about the students' observations from the investigation. Use the provided questions to guide your discussion around the question, how does frost form? The goal of this class discussion is to analyze student observations and explain how water changes phases back and forth as temperature changes. During the discussion, you'll begin to fill out the Lesson 3 summary chart to keep track of the class's ideas. You'll fill out rows 1 and 2 during the Explain discussion and complete the chart during the Elaborate. You'll then read A Drop Around the World as a class. Use the Read Aloud guide found in the appendix to help students synthesize ideas around water phase changes and frost. You'll take a few moments to review the cause and effect diagrams on the How Frost Forms student journal page. Students will then revise their student journal observations by adding in new terms, like evaporation, condensation, melting, or freezing, under Mechanism. They can also label the terms on the diagrams. As a review of the new terms and how frost forms, show students the video Where Does Frost Come From? For the Elaborate portion of the lesson. You'll ask questions to connect the concepts back to the investigation and fill in the 3rd row of the summary chart. By the end of the discussion, students should understand that plants in Missouri are at risk of experiencing frost due to the changes in temperature from day to night during certain seasons. For the Evaluate portion of the lesson, you'll have students do the How Water Changes Quick Check student journal page. To support student sense-making across the unit, orient students back to the driving question board. Ask, did we answer any of the questions on our driving question board? And do we have any questions to add to our driving question board? If there are questions that have been answered, remove them from the driving question board and place them on the Lesson 3 summary chart. By the end of this lesson, students will have carried out an investigation to observe and collect evidence on the effect of temperature on water phase changes. In Lesson 4, students will investigate how frost affects plants. For more information about this unit, visit myscipartners.com.